LeBron James has been the leader on every one of his teams since high school, and he's helped his team thrive on every level, despite being on teams that weren't skilled, had too much ego, or were hated by the public. In this video, I'll cover the #1 strategy that LeBron James used to lead all of his teams to victory. But before I do, if you enjoy content like this, subscribe for more. Throughout his career, LeBron held the same mindset on leadership that helped each of his teams thrive. Whether LeBron was in high school and had the massive pressure of his games being nationally televised and playing in a sold-out arena, or when he was playing with the Cleveland Cavaliers, the worst team in the league, or when he was playing with the Miami Heat as the most hated athlete in the world, or winning the 2020 NBA championship with the Lakers while having to live in the COVID bubble. He helped each of his teams thrive because of this mindset.
Kind of just look yourself in the mirror and say, what are you going to do about it?
In each difficult situation he was in, he took the responsibility upon himself to deal with it, whether it was his fault or not, whether it was dealing with pressure, being on a bad team, being hated by fans, or having to play the playoffs in the bubble. It would have been easy to complain or blame a bad performance on his circumstances, and most athletes do. How often do we blame the ref for losing the game, or complain about the conditions of the competition, or make excuses when we make a mistake? But when you complain, blame, and make excuses, you don't perform well, and you don't get better. And as a leader, this causes your team not to perform well or get better. Because while you're complaining, you're focusing on the problem, not the solution. However, by taking responsibility for whatever happens, you'll be able to adapt and make the most of your situation. Keep in mind, responsibility isn't only about taking ownership of your own actions. It's about taking ownership of your teammates' mistakes, bad refs, or tough conditions. Because if your teammate makes a mistake, you can still look at yourself and ask, what could I do better? Whether it's communicating to help them, or not putting them in that situation in the first place. Or if a ref's bad call decides the game, ask yourself, were there other mistakes that I made earlier in the game that I could have improved so that I didn't leave it in the ref's hands? Always take ownership of any situation that you're dealt, and you'll be able to make the most of it. So what does this look like as a leader of a team? Well, after each competition, especially a loss or a tough game, ask yourself, did I complain, blame, or make an excuse? In each situation where you might have done so, figure out what you could have done better. If your teammate makes a mistake, could you have communicated with them better? If a ref makes a bad call, could you have fixed the mistake you made earlier in the game? If the conditions aren't the best, how could you adapt and still perform? If you focus on what you could do to improve any situation you're in, so will your team. And if every member on your team is focused on how they can make the team better, your team will dominate.